Good morning, guys. How are you guys doing this morning? Rise and shine. I think my guest got up this morning. I think he's ready to dive into this conversation this morning. We're going to have a great time, guys. Listen, get up, get up, get up. This is no time to talk about thank God it's Friday. It's time for you to say, you know what? Thank God it's another day. Okay? We have something to talk about that I believe is very, very important. And so I want you guys to dive in. I want you to come on in and be a part of what we're about to talk about, because I think the information that we're going to share is very important for you to capture in your mind. And you got to get it in your head. If your life is going to change, your mind is going to have to change. If you want to change your life, change your mind. Okay? So if you say, listen, Ricardo, I don't like where I am, then guess what I'm going to say to you today? Get ready to shift the way you've been thinking. Okay? Today is all about money. You are not designed to be broke, busted, and disgusted. Okay? You are not designed to be broke, busted, and disgusted. I'm going to go ahead and bring in my guest this morning, and we're going to dive in and we're going to talk about some things that's going to help you figure out how to go to the next level going into 2021. Okay, your goal is to not do the same thing and expect a different result. So good morning, my auntie Dada. God bless you. I love you, auntie. Listen, y'all. Listen, guys. This guy right here, he's the man. Nathaniel Butler. I think I mute you just now. I think you got muted. Look at that. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Morning, Ricardo. I'm happy to be here with
I can't
you.
hear you.
And
I mean, I can't
you
hear you.
can
You're
hear me?
low. Good morning, Leslie Bennett, Minister Leslie. God bless you. Good morning.
Morning, Ricardo. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. It's pretty low.
Pretty low.
Okay, let's go with that. I think I got you, bro. How
Okay.
about that?
Morning, everyone. Morning, Ricardo. Thanks for having me. Uh, I appreciate this. I appreciate it so much, and so appreciate even speaking to the community this morning.
Man, thank you very much. I'm excited about this because you've been on the move, man. You're a busy guy. I almost thought we might have to catch this on another run. I said, you know what, Nathaniel, he's not a morning person. You know, some people are night
Mm.
owls, and some people know how to get up early. What's up, Vito? Hey, Nicole. Good morning. Good morning. Please do me a favor and share this. This morning, we're going to be talking about something that's going to help a lot of people, because there are people going through the motion. They're going through the motion and they're finding themselves to be normal. And here's the deal. You don't want to be normal. Okay? You don't want to be normal. I want you to write that in the chat right now. I'm not normal. They said, what's up with Ricardo? Listen, you're comparing Ricardo possibly. Come on. It is possible that you're comparing Ricardo with someone else. And here's the deal. You don't need to be comparing yourself with no one else. You need to show up and be you. Okay? So I'm not normal. Come on, that's the chat. Put that in the box. Put that in the box. Nathaniel, how have you been doing, my friend?
I have I have been great. Just going from one level to the next,
Yep.
enjoying life, man. And at the same time, this word keeps coming up a lot, especially for this year.
Yep.
Pivoting, just
Yep.
moving from one position to the next, just adapting to my environment.
Yes. That is so good. Listen, you're a financial specialist. I love what you're doing at Druba Solutions. And just tell us a little bit about Druba Solution before we dive in to our discussion this morning.
Okay, so Druber Solutions is really two companies in one. We are a financial literacy company, first and foremost, where we teach on money and all things pertaining to money. And then, secondly, we are a financial service firm where we provide different services along the lines of from insurance to mortgages to, and the list goes on from scholarships. It just goes on and on and on. So the four areas I would say that Druber focuses on:
Yep.
personal finance, career, entrepreneurship, and social entrepreneurship.
Mm. Nice, nice, nice. Now we have a viewing audience. A lot of people. If you guys are in the Bahamas, please put in the chat you're in the Bahamas. If you're anywhere in the United States, go ahead and put where you're watching from. But we got individuals watching and they're tuning in And today I wanted to focus on something that I realized a lot of people aren't paying attention to. Is let's go there with this, and that is first, a lot of people haven't realized that, like the Bible says, broad is the way that leads to death,
Yeah.
and narrow is the way that leads to life. And that if you want to be exceptional, you can't go the normal way. You can't go the way where the masses is going. This is Christmas time, Nathaniel. This is the holidays. There are people who have built a custom. They've built practices that have become horrible practices that has set them up to go into the new year horribly. I mean, literally in a bad state
Right.
because they have become accustomed to doing something like getting a loan during the holidays so that they can put Christmas lights around the house. It's like I have to buy everybody a gift, and so there's this broad way of doing things, but it's not a good way. What are your views on some of the un yeah, the terrible practices that could be done this time of the year that ought not be done? What are some of the things that you would say, hey, if you're doing this, it's not the right way in this time? Because we're in a pandemic. We're still dealing with a global pandemic. Most of our economies have been disrupted. And I mean, unemployment is at an all-time high in every country around the world right now.
Yeah.
And to try to go do the same thing this Christmas is ludicrous. Talk to us about that.
No, you're absolutely right. You hit the nail on the head. I think the greatest challenge for most persons around the world is that they have
Yep.
certain practices that they've developed during a time like this.
Yep.
And believe it or not, most of our customs are supported by our financial resources.
Yep.
Now, the challenge now is that many persons are without or limited or reduced financial resources in this time.
Yep.
So some of the bad things you don't want to do is, one, you don't want to take on providing gifts for more persons in a time like this.
Yep.
Two, you do not want to borrow.
Yep.
Believe it or not. Now I know it's difficult to say that to a lot of persons because when you're a provider and you have dependents and your dependents have put pressure on you to provide and get certain items.
Yep.
I'm not familiar with the consoles, but I'm told that there are two consoles that came out this year. The PlayStation, I think, is 5 or something like that.
Okay.
So there's going to be pressure there to go get these items. And
Yep.
if you've been laid off or furloughed or you're on a reduced income or you're waiting on government assistance, that might not be a priority at
Yep.
this time.
Yep.
One of the things I've told persons, and it's not something people want to hear, but it's something people need to hear, is the fact that in life you're going to be disappointed. In life, your children will be disappointed.
Yep.
It's better for you to allow moments like this to be teachable moments so
Yep.
that they are now acquainted with life versus sheltering them from life.
Yep.
And what I mean by that is if you provide for your dependents everything they always wanted from
Yep.
the time they were born up until the time they hit their adult life,
Yep.
they kind of will have a sense of not really exposure to the world. So when the first major thing happens to them in their adult life, they're not going to be able to handle it.
Yep.
Matter of fact, they're going to be pulling on you to kind of step in and save them. And depending on the expense of that item, you yourself might not be in a position to handle it because in most cases you will find that you yourself might be in retirement or heading towards retirement.
Yep.
So this is why it's so important now from times like these to kind of just make sure everybody are in touch with expectations.
Yep.
Manage the expectations. The last and most important thing is that you want to kind of focus on not foregoing commitments at this time.
Yep.
Most persons, like right now, there's a lot of spending here in the Bahamas, mostly I would say in New Providence. And the question is, well, how can people spend if there's such a high level of unemployment?
Yep.
Well, here's the thing. We got to look at what type of spending that is going on. Is
Yep.
it on the credit card? No. Matter of fact, most of the spending is done with cash. So what does that mean? That means that essentially most of that money is money that was supposed to go to something else, but they're foregoing that just so that they could buy certain things for the season.
So you're telling me there are people who, rather than pay their December rent, rather than pay that car note, rather than catch up on that light bill, that water bill, there are people you think, and for those of you that are watching us this morning, I'm talking with Nathaniel Butler. This is an incredible guy, and I believe the information that is about to be shared is going to help a lot of people. But you're telling me that there are people that will not pay their water bill, their mortgage, their car notes because they want to put more gifts under the Christmas tree, and they want to sort of wear that nice outfit just so that they can say Christmas. They're feeling Christmas.
We got to remember now, Christmas is just one of those seasons where everybody want to feel happy. Everybody want to feel good about themselves. Everybody want to kind of even embrace family. So it's not only the gifts under the tree, but also it's the food that is
Yep.
going to be also provided for those who are coming over at the gatherings.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so, to your point, you're right.
The gatherings that should be decreasing this year because, or should not even be a gathering at all because of COVID-19. But some people are still planning that gathering. Go ahead.
Listen to me. Some things are just cultural.
Yep.
Some things are just cultural, and regardless of the restrictions, people will find a way. And regardless of the restrictions in times like these, this is the time that most persons do go around their family and friends.
Yep.
Even think about it. In out of any time in the world, I mean, any time in the year, workplaces actually have events during this time.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying? So
Yep.
you got to remember now that it is cultural, it is a custom.
Yep.
And to your point, yes, the water company is not going to get some money this year, this
Yep.
month. The mortgage company is not going to get some money this month. The landlord will, they've barely been getting money this year. They're not going to get it this month. So this is the challenge. This is the challenge what persons have faced. But Ricardo, when you say that to someone, the first thing that comes in their mind is, well, what can I give
Yep.
in the midst of all of this?
Yep. I like that question a person has to ask himself. But good morning, Kimberly. Good morning, Linda. Good morning, Jason, based in there in Canada. Vito, it's so good to see you. Cynthia Ferguson, phenomenal. Good to see you guys. Here's the deal. We're talking about not going to Broadway this morning. We're wanting to remind you that narrow is the way that leads to life. Okay, and broad is the way that leads to destruction. You're not normal. I'm not normal. Tell yourself, I'm not normal. I'm not going to go ahead and do what everybody else is doing and expecting a different result. And so, Nathaniel, we're dealing with a culture, we're dealing with a society that are built about practices that are detrimental to their own good. And yet we want to lean on the government. Why they ain't giving us more food in these food boxes? Why is it that national insurance even giving more assistance? And when are y'all going to open the hotel back up? They don't even know when the hotels are going to really open back up at full capacity. They don't know when the cruise ships are coming back in. Some of the companies have cut their staff by half. I mean, there's just so much disruption. And to not pay your mortgage and to not pay your rent and not pay, that's irresponsible, isn't it?
It is, but then you got to remember that goes right back to the point what I made earlier. If you, for your entire life, have been given something in your childhood and you've never heard the word no, it sets you up to be irresponsible because you feel that somebody else is going to step in and save you,
Yep.
and so you have this dependency syndrome
Yep.
that
Wow.
hey, I don't have to worry about that. Somebody else is going to take care of that. Matter of fact, Ricardo, let me tell you, I'll give you an example. In the area of scholarships, government scholarships, there is a mentality that most persons believe that they should not pay it back because either the government is going to just cancel it or a politician can just write it off for them. That's just a mentality.
So let me ask you this. And so with that mentality, there are people who don't realize when you don't pay the government back on a note that they entrusted to believe that you're going to pay them back. When you don't pay your mortgage on time, when you don't pay your bills on time, when you don't be responsible with the finances as you're supposed to, what is there an awareness in relations to how that affects an economy,
No,
how
no.
it disrupts the standard of living in a nation?
So you got to remember now, Ricardo, so we have financial literacy, and then of course you have economics.
Yep,
Most persons are not aware of how personal finances affect the economics
yep,
or the larger scheme of things, and those persons are not aware how the larger scheme of things or how the economy runs affect personal finance.
yep,
And so that has always been a challenge for me, especially when I go out and I share, because oh, the hotels are not opening up. Well, if you're not in hospitality, that doesn't even register with you.
okay,
You understand what I'm saying?
yep,
But then at the same time, when you say, "Oh, the hotels are not open up," and they're now slowly opening, and now they're bringing back a few persons, they're not at full capacity. People don't realize that at the end of the day, there are 5 people out of 10 people who that are directly affected by that.
yes,
You get
yep,
what I'm saying?
yep,
And in addition to that, it is even worse if you are a business owner. If you are a business owner and you have a business that service the customers
yep,
or consumers directly, you're going to be grossly affected
yep,
because somewhere along the line, your customer base is going to be made up of those in the tourism industry. So you yourself are either struggling
yep,
on the way out,
yep,
break even in some cases. And so this what we're experiencing right now. We've never seen it before.
yep,
This is one of those once in 100 years type of moments,
yep,
in a sense.
yep,
But the good news is one, we're gonna recover from this at
yep,
some point.
yep,
The good news from this is at the same time, we're all going to get through the Christmas holidays with joy and laughter because it's all about time, spending
yep,
time with family and friends. And last but not least, whatever disappointments an individual may have, by the time as the ending part of January rolls around, people will forget about their disappointment in the Christmas holidays.
yep,
Because remember now, Ricardo, for the first time ever,
yep,
well, to my knowledge,
yep.
we're not gonna have John Canoe down here in New
Yeah,
Providence.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean that's huge. Okay, that's huge. I mean to not have John Canoe, come on, okay, and not
Some
have
people
John.
don't even know what to do themselves. What?
Yeah,
No
I mean,
John Canoe?
so here's the deal. I think this is important for persons to just evaluate. If you're in the state of Texas, we didn't have a number of things that we've been accustomed to having because of COVID-19. If you're anywhere in the world, I mean, if Jason, for those of you that are in Canada, those of you in Jamaica, I mean, everything has been disrupted. Do you all agree?
Yeah.
Everything has been disrupted. Now there are people who are saying, you know what? Boy, listen, I'm gonna use the street terms here, okay? Boy, I'm gonna party now because I don't care. You just live once. There's those people who think like that, and then there are people like, you know what? This the holidays, bro. After the holidays, I can respond and I can deal with what I have to deal with. But right now, you know what? Gonna stop me from having a good time. How shallow of a thought is that? How underdeveloped must a person be to literally hold that as their foundational belief during these times?
But see, like I said to you, that's a mentality that was developed from a child.
Yeah.
And so as a result of that, there are going to probably even be more persons who are going to have that mentality this go around or this Christmas,
Wow.
just so that they could get by. It's all about feeling good about yourself.
Wow.
All right.
Yeah.
And I don't blame people for wanting to feel good about themselves, especially when you're coming through or you're passing through a year like this year.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Ricardo, you have to also take into consideration there's always going to be a cost,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
somebody has to pay that bill.
Yeah.
And when you push off the bill, in a lot of cases, you find that it's still not going to be you fully paying that bill
Yeah.
whenever that bill comes back around. And so we're saying, well, we're gonna ball out now, but in January we'll figure it out. Well, what happens if you can't figure it out in January? What happens if the government can't step in and help you out in
Yeah.
January or your friends and family? So the reality of it is we need to be a little bit more responsible now.
Yeah.
How is that possible? Well, it all comes down to this: knowing what you have, knowing what you have access to,
Yeah.
and now putting yourself in a position where you just reduce it a little bit.
Yep.
You just got to
Yep.
reduce it a little bit. And the reason why I'm saying it like that is because for some people, it's all about the food.
Yep.
For others, it's about the gifts. For
Yep.
others, it's about going to several different events.
Some is the
Now,
look. Hey,
so
they
it's
gotta
about
be
dressing up.
fresh.
So it's all about dressing up. So we gotta kind of or hairstyle and makeup and nails and the list goes on and on and on. We gotta kind of restrict and bring back or so somebody would say to me, "Well, it's COVID. Where can you go?" You will be surprised how people will be creative in a time like this to find places to go.
Yep. You know, I want to talk about responsible spending during this time. If you're watching in the feed, go ahead and write down what you perceive responsible spending as. What are you doing during these times to make sure that you don't put yourself in a worse position financially, ending the year only finding yourself trying to do what you've always done during the holidays, knowing that that's not the most responsible way to perform or act. I want to ask you this though. During these times, there are a lot of people who uh, the idea of man. My reality says I haven't worked in 6 months.
Yeah,
I didn't like going on the food line. The truth be told, I mean, my contacts are running out in relation to who I can borrow from or
yes,
who I can try to do a little work on the side for. It's some challenging times.
yes,
There are some people who it would be okay for them to tell the kids, tell their parents, tell some colleagues, hey, you know, this is COVID-19 year, the global pandemic. I have adjusted my way of spending because I have to be responsible to take care of my kids. I don't
yep,
want to take a dive going into 2021, going from one rough year
to
and what's
another.
this preset 2021 to be a rough year because how you close this year has the potential to disrupt the new year initially. And so some people, which I know some of my colleagues watching this, and I have made a decision, pull back, pull back to ensure that, listen, the things that I would have normally done during this time, I'm not going to do. Some people shouldn't be putting up a tree right now. Some people shouldn't be buying no new outfit right now. Some people should be downgrading the amount of food they're preparing to cook because you don't know how long your industry, your neighborhood, your employment, your situation is going to last. But we have people who are still pushing. What would you say to the people who they really need to adjust what they're doing? They need to choose not to go the same route. I mean, I know that's an area that must be developed in a person. I know that most people may have not developed that discipline, but you got, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching me, you've got to get to the point where your clothes does not make you a good person. The fact that you have a Christmas tree does not make you uh, a good Christmas. It doesn't make for a good Christmas. Or you know what I'm saying? Many gifts under the tree. Nathaniel, before I go on, I'm going to say this. I remember coming here to the United States, and I remember for several Christmases, I was doing what I became accustomed to, and that was, boy, Christmas ain't Christmas if you aren't wearing something new. Come on.
You're right.
Come on. How many
You're
of
right.
you guys are watching right now? Christmas ain't Christmas if you ain't. And so I have heard people say things like, "Mom, this is a terrible Christmas because I'm not wearing." My challenge to you is breaking that norm because you know what? We're not normal. Let's talk about that. Deciding not to go the normal route, deciding not to push ourselves just to trying to fit in. Uh, what are your thoughts on that?
No, I fully agree with you, man. I fully agree with your sentiments because here's the thing, when it comes down to money, persons are usually gonna follow their values.
Yeah.
Now, whether their values are in line with reality or not, that's a whole nother conversation. But
Yeah.
they're gonna usually follow their values. So, in order for them to prepare themselves to make sure that their 2020 finish strong and then go into 2021 right, we now need to look at our situation and be realistic in what our options are.
Yeah.
Most people don't want to do that because it's scary. It's unfamiliar, or it can be something that is unknown.
Yeah.
When you start to assess what you have, and you realize that it's little.
Yep.
When you assess what you have and there's a lot, then you have options. But when
Yep.
you assess yourself and there's little,
Yep.
then now, and especially when there's dependence, and when you hear me say the word dependence, that's just not only children. That could be
Yep.
your spouse, your
Yep.
significant other. It could be
Yep.
even your parents.
Yep.
It could
Yep.
be siblings.
Yep.
There are a number of persons who have extended relationships that are almost like brother and sister.
Yep.
So when you look at their expectations, because everybody has expectations,
Yep.
when you look at their expectations, you might not be necessarily able to meet them. There are
Yep.
still some people, Ricardo, that have to rely on food assistance during this time. There's
Yes.
still some people who have to rely on social assistance or
Yep.
friends and family assistance. And you're right. You know, that window of opportunity to receive that assistance is getting smaller and smaller, and even in some cases, non existent.
Yep.
So here's my thing. In times like this, there will always be a few communities, not a whole lot, but a few communities that will give during a time like this.
Yep. Yep.
You have to put yourself in a situation where you can patronize those communities. Now, I've
Yep.
said it and I shared my story before. Um, when we were hit by Dorian,
Yep.
I believe it was last year. Um, Dorian had it was a Category 5. It destroyed two of our major islands, which were economic hubs here in the Bahamas. And I had a investment property with some family in one of those islands. We and my family went down. It was just an all males group. We went down. We did some cleaning up on the property, removing the debris, etc., etc. The first mistake I did, we didn't carry anyone who brought food. The second mistake we did, we didn't take into consideration that because of the level of devastation, there was no food place, food store, restaurant that was open. Everything
Yep.
was completely destroyed.
Yep.
And so, for the first time in our lives, we didn't want to go on a food program. We needed to go on the food program.
Wow.
And by going on the food program, sorry about that.
That's okay.
By going on the food program, we
That's
were
what hey, that's what happens when you wake up a family man. Go ahead.
yes. By going on the food program, we we had to drop our pride. We had to drop our pride.
Yep.
And to be honest with you, it was either a sense of um going hungry
Yep.
on that trip and possibly having to wait for the plane and getting back, or dropping the pride and getting food in that immediate time, especially when you're doing vigorous, hard labor.
Yep.
So I'm saying to anyone and everyone who's in that position of been there, I understand it, man. Drop the pride, get
Yep.
yourself a belly full, make
Yep.
sure your family has a belly full, and in January, it's a new year. New opportunities. Let's
Yep.
capitalize on those things.
Yep.
Even if a child is looking for a gift, there are a number of toy drives that are
Yep.
going on. It may not
Yep.
be the gift of choice,
Choice. Yep.
but let it be the gift of a need
Yep.
or a gift to read. You
Yep.
understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
And trust me, that will go a long way because they're going to remember this moment.
Yes.
But the key thing is they're going to also remember your response in this moment. And that
Yep.
is why it's so important for you to assess what you have
Yep.
and make the right response. It might not be the response they want to see right now in the moment,
Yep.
but later on, when they come into the fullness of their adult life or the fullness of themselves, they will realize, boy, I remember when it was rough, but
Yep.
this is how my parents respond, or this is how my parents respond. You get
Yep.
what I'm saying, Ricardo?
That is so good, Nathaniel. So good. And listen, man, I understand. I woke up a family man early. And listen, the little one said, man, listen, I don't care about no interview. Daddy, give me a hug. Okay.
Yeah.
But but listen, let's talk about this as we bring our conversation to an end. Normal is broke. And a lot of people don't realize it. Normal is broke. And that's one of the reasons why I said I wanted the people to write in the chat, I'm not normal. Describe just 2-3 minutes on how normal is broke, because a lot of people don't
Oh man.
realize it.
Listen to me. You know, broke, man. Let me tell you something. Broke is also it's a state of mind
Yeah.
and also a reality where there's literally nothing in the account. You got more month or bills than you have money.
Yep.
The reality of it is this: we have been programmed to be broke.
Yep.
Think about it. I saw a article the other day which said that any child that is born after the 2000, um, they would be exposed to over 1 million advertisements before they hit
Mm.
the age of 18.
Wow.
Now
Wow.
think about that. Never in the history
Mm.
ever has a person been that have that level of exposure to advertisement. Never.
Yep.
So
Yep.
imagine now when you hit an age where you have access to a credit card, access to, if you're working at that time, a salary of some sort.
Yep.
The first thing in your mind is whatever advertisement flash across your eyes the most, and
Yep.
it create an appetite for.
Yep.
You're going after that, man.
Yep.
You
Yep.
want
Yep.
with no control,
Yes.
no control.
Yes.
And so many of us right now who are, well, not us, but many persons right now who are in a state where they are broke, they're being led by their desires.
Yep.
Okay. Now, there's also another group who, in normal circumstances, they would not be broke. But because of the pandemic
Yep.
and because of the cutbacks that they had to make, and because their income is not what it used to be,
Yep.
they are broke. And then we still have this group that has a good size income,
Yep.
and but they, for whatever reason, have not taken into consideration what their lifestyle is or the
Yep.
cost of their lifestyle.
Yep.
So you have persons who make a very large sum of money. I remember one time talking to someone, and for the first time ever, they made about $11,000 a month.
Wow. Wow.
$11,000 a month, Ricardo.
Yep. Yep.
But yet they spend 15.
Wow. Yep. Yep. It's possible. It's
You,
hugely
you, you,
possible.
you,
Yep.
you get
Yep.
what I'm saying?
Yep.
And they spend that 15
Yep.
on a good month. It could
Yeah.
be,
Right.
and in a lot of cases, it could be more than that.
Yep.
And
Yep.
the question was put to me, I can't find where I spend my money. And so the reality of it is, and it's that B word, and a lot of people don't like that B word, the budget.
Yep.
Unless you budget, you will never know what you have.
Wow.
Unless you budget, you will never anticipate the next what events or what will come up. You know what's the number one thing would cause a lot of persons to be broke or stay in a state of brokenness?
Yeah.
Life events.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
When life events happen, and
Yeah.
sometimes we can predict it, sometimes we
Yeah.
can't, sometimes it just happens out of the blue. When
Yeah.
life events happen, Ricardo, it puts everyone back.
Yeah. It does.
And this is and another reason what will help you from not being broke. You have to have some form of an emergency, Ricardo.
Yep.
You gotta have some form. I'm not saying that the emergency will always be enough to respond to a life event,
Yep.
but it is enough to provide you with some level of a cushion that you can respond, that you
Yep.
can put a down payment on. You know what I mean? Nobody wakes
Yes.
up in the morning and say, "Man, I want a flat tire today."
Yep.
That just happens, man.
Yep. Yep.
I had a situation where a family member of my wife passed in the States.
Yep.
And now we can't tell them, hey, put that funeral on hold
Oh,
until we
yep.
gather some money so
Yep.
we could go catch a plane. No, you can't
Yep.
do that.
No. No. Yes. That is so good, Nathaniel. That's so good. I got two more I want you to share briefly on. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching, write in the chat, I'm not normal. Because see, normal is broke. I like it. Angela Nixon wrote that down in the chat for us. Thank you, Angela. Normal is broke. But there's another one, Nathaniel, I want you to talk about a little bit. Normal is a victim mentality. Normal is a victim mentality. Can you talk briefly on that victim mentality? Because really the reality of it is all of us will be given a chance to get a jump start and to navigate ourselves into a stable, healthy place for the most part, right? But the victim mentality has it that no matter what, I'm a victim. And here's how I'm gonna here's how I'm going to respond. Talk to us about normal is a victim mentality. Someone write that in the chat.
So from that standpoint, I go right back to my original word, which is the values. So
Yep.
values is a vehicle.
Yep.
What I mean by that is you have your perspective, you have your habits, you have your behaviors, and then you also have some beliefs.
Yep.
And when you come across a person who has a victim mentality, their perspective is warped.
Yep.
What I mean by that is anything that happens to them, they internalize it
Yep.
as if the world is against them,
Mm.
friends and families against them, the
Yep.
workplace is against them.
Yeah.
And with that being constantly thought about or
Yep.
or processed, in their mind, you find that anything can be interpreted or misinterpreted as if they're going to get the bitter end of the stick. When somebody's in that state, Ricardo, there's very little you can do. You can never meet their financial expectation.
Wow.
I don't care what you give them.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah,
I'm serious
yeah,
about that.
yeah,
There's nothing you can give them that will make them feel better about you
yeah,
or even themselves.
yeah.
And so if somebody and you know what's so sad about it too? Most persons who have a victim mentality don't even see themselves as having a victim mentality.
Yeah, yeah,
And the three things you have to look at to see whether or not you have a victim mentality is the first thing is, are you always the loser in
wow.
every situation?
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you see yourself always as the loser in every situation, I'm not saying you have the victim mentality, but it is leaning towards that.
towards it. Yeah,
The second thing is, do you see people against you in
yeah,
every environment that you go in? What I mean by that is your workplace, your civic, social, religious environments you go into, your family, your friends, your neighborhood.
yeah,
If every space you go into, there's someone you could point to and say, okay, they are out to get me, then of course, then there's another step to say you might potentially have a victim mentality.
yeah,
And the last thing is, when things happen to you, what is your first response?
yeah,
When things happen to you, what is your first response? Now, when things happen to many of us, we have multiple responses. It all depends on what it is and who did it. But if the first response is always self-internalizing it to a degree where you're feeling that you're at a loss,
yeah,
you may have I'm saying you may have that victim mentality. Believe it or not, you may have it.
yeah,
And how do you get it? You're gonna need, honestly on it, and there's nothing wrong with it.
yeah,
You're gonna need a level of counseling
yeah,
and coaching to help adjust your perspective.
yeah, yeah.
And usually that victim mentality was developed from
Yeah.
childhood. So
You
there's
know,
some underlying things we have to address.
Juan, listen, that is so good, man. I totally agree. There are some underlining things you have to address. I've said this so much. I wrote it in my book, and it's still worth saying right now because I learned years ago life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you respond.
Yeah.
And the person who's deciding not to be a victim is the person who's deciding to respond correctly. It's not that something crazy didn't happen. We're not denying the fact that there's been a series of bad events that could have happened in your life. But the question is how are you going to respond? I really want us to capture this idea that normal is not good, and you need to decide to not live in the space of normal. So I have one last one, and this is a cool one. Normal sucks, man. Normal sucks. Listen, man. Going from paycheck to paycheck, wondering if they're gonna lay you off, wondering if they're gonna bring you back on the job, wondering if the food line is gonna be long, wondering if you can qualify for the loan, wondering. Listen, that's a normal. There are so many people living in normal that it actually is a horrible place to live. And it really sucks. It's like knowing your roof is leaking, but you can't afford to fix it. Knowing
Mhm.
your car needs service, but you can't afford to fix it. But because you practice bad money practices in relations to when you have the money, you keep putting yourself in this normal state that causes you to have the normal life that sucks. Talk about the elements of negativity or bad experiences that occurs in a person's life when they're living in that normal, horrible place.
You know, it's so funny, Ricardo. Whenever you're in that place that you're describing,
Yeah.
um, everything that could go wrong,
Yep.
that could potentially go wrong, that
Yes.
come across your mind, will
Yep.
always manifest itself.
Yes.
It will always. Well, if this hurricane comes, we might. I don't know if the roof will hold up. Well,
Yep.
and
Yep.
that happens.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know, you got to realize we have so much power.
Yes.
Our personal power is so
Yep.
great
Yep.
that will take us out of normal living into
Yep.
abnormal living or
Yep.
supernatural living,
Living. Yes.
but we don't tap into it.
Yes.
Anybody who's living paycheck to paycheck and they come to me, I would normally tell them, you need to go and have a conversation with one person, not
Yep.
two, not three.
Yeah.
One person, go in the mirror and ask that person if they live up to their full potential.
Yeah.
If the answer is no, then we understand why we're paycheck to paycheck.
Yep. Yep.
You get what I'm saying, Ricardo?
Yep.
See, the thing about it is, Ricardo, the reality of it is this. Bad things will happen. Good things will happen. Opportunities will come, and then there will be some doors that will close.
Yep.
All are good things.
Yep.
You hear me? The bad things that happen to us are good as well.
Yes.
The good things that happen to us are great as well.
Yep.
The opportunities that come in, that is excellent.
Yes.
And also the doors that are going to close also helps prepare us for the next level as well. All of these things are good. It all comes down to what we said earlier, how are you going to respond?
Yep.
And most persons are not going to tap into the power that is within.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying, Ricardo?
Yep.
There's such a level of power that is within us that we can overcome every obstacle that is facing us.
Yep.
The challenge is, are you going to put the energy and effort?
Yep.
Are you going to change your mentality to embrace what is in front of you?
Yep.
Some people are embracing what is in front of them and holding seeds of the opportunities, whilst others are seeing what's in front of them, and the only thing they see is lack.
Yes.
It's all about what angle are you seeing things from.
Yes.
What your belief system says you can achieve, what habits you have that will allow you to achieve it, and what behaviors will sustain you over the period of time to make sure that you're not experiencing one time, but it's sustainable achievements that you're experiencing. Ricardo, it's as simple as this, man. The power that is in is so great.
Yes.
God has breathed himself in it. So the power in is so great. We just need to tap into that, Ricardo. And remember now, and this is powerful. I want you to catch this one. Our personal power, the purpose of our personal power is to manifest our imagination. The purpose of our personal power is to manifest our imagination. The problem with that is when you're laden with so many bills and so many worries and so many cares, you don't have time to imagine.
And what you're imagining, unfortunately, is working against you.
Because whatever you're processing in your mind, that's where you fall into that loser mentality, that victim mentality. You understand what I'm saying? Some people. I've played sports before. I had people who came on the court or in the stadium, and they had an expectation that they was going to lose. And I guarantee you,
this ain't gonna be a good day. This ain't gonna be a good day. I already could feel.
I had teammates who came on the field with me and say, "Hey, I don't think we're gonna win this game." And guess what happened? We didn't win. And guess what happened to them? They didn't stay on the team.
Hey, and watch it. This is how they say it, because some people think because they said it like that, that was a positive. I told y'all we wasn't gonna win. No, you came on with this bad energy. Come on, you already was forecasting loss. And so here's the deal. Let's go with this, Nathaniel, as we bring in our show to this conversation to an end. Be weird. I want to talk about being weird. Being weird to the point where you say, hey, Christmas has been postponed for the Miller's president. Hey, be weird to the say, well, only the top 5 people in my life, and you don't even have to say that to anyone else, but you could say that to yourself. Maybe only my mom, maybe, you know what I'm saying? My spouse, and just my household. A few years back, Nathaniel, I remember making a decision. And I remember, because of the strategic moves that we were wanting to make at the time with some investment properties and so forth, I remember saying, listen, we're not going to do some normal things, and we're going to be weird for a while. In other words, we're not going to invest in Christmas in an overextended way, because I like what Dave Ramsey says. If you live like no one else, later you will be able to live like no one else. So when I say live weird, when I say be weird, someone put that in the chat. Be weird. All right? When I say be weird, I want you to know it's okay to tell yourself, you know what? I'm not going out this Christmas. I'm going to hang out on the beach. I'm going to hang with my kids in the backyard. As a matter of fact, we're going to play basketball at a basketball court. We're going to, you know what I'm saying? We're going to play hopscotch. Or you could connect in a different way to ensure that you're not being normal, but you're setting yourself up to win over a long period of time.
So I'll say this, Ricardo. When you take that oath that, hey, we're going to be weird to set ourselves up for the future, that we could live weird. We're going to be weird for this moment to set ourselves up to live weird. And what I mean by that is you be to a place of prosperity
Yep.
That becomes a lifestyle.
Yep.
Now, in order for that to happen, you have to make sure everybody in the household is on
Yeah.
the same page.
Page.
Now, that might be difficult in some cases it may not.
Yep.
But once you get everybody to embrace that mindset,
Yep.
what you're gonna be tapping into a whole lot is quality time in the beginning.
Yes. 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 Yes.
But later on
Yep.
in life,
Yep.
you're now gonna be able to tap into the resources.
Yes. Yes.
You
Yes.
get what I'm saying?
Yep. Yep.
Quality time in the beginning,
Yep.
later on tap into the resources. Now, if
Yep.
you're not to that point
Yep.
where it is that bad, but
Yep.
you
Yep.
still want to be weird for the moment,
Yep.
and then you later on, because you could have Christmas year round,
Right. Yes. Yes. Come on.
I would rather forgo now, put myself in the position where I'm just buying in one
Yep.
want, one need,
Yep.
one read, and one
Yep.
wear.
Yep.
I heard one of my coaches said that to me. I was like, wow, wrote that down. One want, one need, one
Yeah.
wear, one read. I rather take care of those needs now, right? And I'm literally doing this.
Yep.
I'd rather take care of those needs now than later on next year. March comes, it's Christmas.
Yes.
June come, it's Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? October, and then when Christmas comes,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna show you. We're gonna make
Yeah.
up Christmas from 2020 and 2021 in 2021 Christmas. You understand
Yes.
what I'm saying?
Yes.
And let me tell you something. When you live like that,
Yeah.
when you live like how some of my team is living, when you live in this position,
Yep.
trust me, you're not only that we're able to get whatever it is that we want,
Yep.
but we're now in a better position to help others.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is more fulfilling. There's a literature I read, and it didn't make sense to me at the time when I read it because I was broke, but now it makes so much sense. It said it's
Yep.
better to give, Ricardo,
Yep.
than to receive.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
couldn't understand that when I was
Yeah.
broke.
Right.
I was
Right.
on the
No.
receiving end.
Yeah. You just want to receive.
I just wanted to receive any way I
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
But now I'm in a position to give, and I can be honest with you, it is fulfilling to give, man.
Yep. 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 It is so filling. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, that's been Nathaniel Butler, man. Nathaniel, what good information. Our goal here on Effective Living is to help you to structure your life in a way where life is working for you. If you don't like where you are, you can change where you are. You can do certain things on a daily basis to bring yourself into a place where you start to look at the decisions you made and start to smile. You know, this has been a horrible year for a lot of people. That's an understatement. However, there are people who pivot. There are people who made a commitment that they weren't going down in 2020. As a matter of fact, they made the necessary adjustments and they're coming out of this year in a very, very healthy state of mind and a state of practices that will bring them into a 2020 one year, a new year in a great, great way. I'm here today to tell you, make the necessary adjustments to ensure that the rest of your life becomes the best of your life. Don't live so in the moment that you cause yourself to have eternal misery. You're going from one crisis to the next crisis because of poor, horrible decisions. Okay? You and I, we all are the subtotal of the decisions we make on a daily basis. Nathaniel, please tell our viewing audience how they can contact you, how they can follow your platform, or how they can utilize the services that you guys offer there at Druber.
So I will say this, Ricardo, and I'm dropping this only for the effective living community.
Yep.
So you got to jump on this. This is something great for everyone who's connected to the effective living community. We're gonna do a free 30-minute consultation with them on their personal finances from now until January 18th. The code is effective living 1. The code
Wow.
is effective living 1. All you got to do is just go on the website, which is drubersolutions.com.
Yep.
That's DREWBER solutions with an S.com. And just book the session from there.
Yep.
Like I said, code word effective living 1. And this is available up until January 18th.
Yep.
And we're going to walk you through our all CFPs have what we call a financial plan, the 8 components of a healthy financial plan.
Yep.
We're going to talk about from your cash flow management and network, that's 1, insurance, retirement, estate planning, investment, taxation, family planning, And of course, debt management. We're going to create a plan for 2021
Yep.
to help you
Mm.
make the best of your opportunity and also put you in a position that you can be where,
Yeah. I
so
like
that
it.
later on you can live where.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. He who fails the plan is planning to fail. Go ahead and check out Druber and make sure you sign up. That's a 30-day offer, man. Okay.
Yeah.
And here's the deal. That gives you the opportunity to start the year off right because you want to get a healthy plan so that you can have a healthy life. Listen, guys, make it a phenomenal day. Thank you again, Nathaniel. God bless you, man. For those of you that are watching, tag somebody that you believe needs to hear this information today. There are too many people that are normal that needs to start living weird. Go ahead and crush it today. Do something different this season so that you can find yourself in a different state of mind that is more beneficial and rewarding to you because you decided to make the tough decisions to delay gratification and to execute practices that's going to work favorably for you and your family moving forward. Have a phenomenal day, guys. Once again, thank you, Nathaniel. God bless you, guys. Make sure you remind yourself that that's an offer that is being offered to those of you that are part of the effective living community. Take advantage of it today. Bye-bye.